Have you ever seriously wondered if you could live forever? I mean, not in a storybook, but for real? Well, today we're diving deep into one of the most mind-bending ideas out there, mind uploading. It's the technology that promises to digitize our brains and, just maybe, let us live on forever. Think about it. For as long as we've been around, one fact has been totally inescapable: death. It's the ultimate deadline, right? The one thing that has shaped our religions, our philosophies, our entire societies. And this isn't a new idea. It's woven into the very fabric of our oldest traditions. As the Quran puts it so powerfully, every soul will taste death. It's a universal truth we've lived with for thousands of years. But what if that's all about to change? What if, right now, in the 21st century, we found a loophole, an escape clause in that universal contract of mortality? So to really get a grip on where we're headed, we gotta look back at where we've been. Because this quest for immortality, it is not new. It's an ancient dream, and we are just living in the latest, wildest chapter. If you look at this timeline, you can see how this obsession has evolved. We started out with myths, the fountain of youth, magical elixirs of life. Then came religious promises, resurrection and the idea of an immortal soul. Alchemists spent centuries searching for the legendary philosopher's stone. And today, we're in the age of science. We're exploring gene therapy, cryonics, and now what might just be the final frontier: digital immortality. And that brings us right here to the modern version of this ancient quest. This is the 21st century's incredibly ambitious, tech-fueled answer to cheating death. Okay, so what are we actually talking about here? Well, mind uploading is this hypothetical idea of transferring a human mind to a computer. The core concept is called whole brain emulation. The goal isn't just to make a copy. It's to create a simulation so incredibly detailed that it's not a replica, it is the mind itself. So why on earth would we even want to do this? Well, it's a huge part of what's called the transhumanist dream. The idea of using technology to fundamentally upgrade what it means to be human. I mean, just imagine making backup copies of yourself to cheat death, or traveling across the galaxy, not in some clunky ship, but as a simple data file, arriving almost instantly. You could live in virtual worlds that you design yourself, or maybe even hop between different robotic bodies whenever you want. It's kind of the ultimate form of freedom. It sounds amazing, right? Like something straight out of science fiction. But before we get too carried away, we have to ground this in some hard scientific reality. Because there are 3 massive technical hurdles we have to overcome before any of this is even remotely possible. And that, of course, leads to the big question on everyone's mind. So when? When can we actually expect to see this technology? Well, probably not in the 2030s, despite what some of the hype might tell you. A more sober analysis from the leading researchers suggests the technology might be available around the middle of this century. But even they will tell you that comes with a huge amount of uncertainty. This slide really breaks down just how colossal this task is. It comes down to 3 key steps. First, you have to scan the brain with unbelievable precision, mapping every single one of its 86 billion neurons and their trillions of connections. Second, you have to translate that absolute mountain of data into a working computer model. And third, you need an almost unimaginable amount of computer power to actually simulate that model and bring it to life. And here's where things get a little dark. The first method we're likely to develop is what's called destructive uploading. Your brain would be preserved, sliced into ultra-thin layers, and scanned, destroying the original brain in the process. The alternative, non-destructive uploading, where you're scanned while you're still alive, is a way bigger technical challenge. So think about this. The first person to get uploaded might also be the last person to die in the process. But even if we solve all the technical problems, let's just say we do, we run headfirst into a philosophical brick wall. The billion-dollar question is this: if you upload your brain, would the thing that wakes up on the other side actually be you? This whole thing really boils down to the single biggest philosophical mystery of all. Would an uploaded mind actually be conscious? There are 2 major schools of thought on this. On one side, you've got the computational theory of mind. The argument here is that consciousness is all about information processing, the pattern, the motion. It doesn't matter if the processor is made of biological meat or silicon. But on the other side, the opposing view argues that, no, consciousness is a uniquely biological thing, tied to the specific meat of our neurochemistry. You can't just replicate it on a different material.
The philosopher Richard Sharvey really summed up that whole computational view perfectly with this memorable line. It ain't the meat, it's the motion. It brilliantly captures that core idea, that the function is what matters, not the physical stuff it's made from.
But there's a really powerful thought experiment that challenges this very idea. It's called the Chinese room, and it was proposed by the philosopher John Searle to throw a wrench in the works.
Okay, let's break this down. Imagine a locked room. Someone outside passes in Chinese symbols. Inside, there's an operator who doesn't speak a word of Chinese, but he has this massive rule book that tells him which symbols to send back out in response. So from the outside, it looks like the room perfectly understands Chinese. But here's the kicker. Does the room or the operator actually understand anything? Or is it just mindlessly manipulating symbols? This is the core challenge to the idea that pure computation can equal genuine consciousness, and it's a huge question mark hanging over this entire project.
But let's say we do it. Let's say we overcome all the technical and philosophical hurdles. What kind of world would we actually be creating? Because unlocking immortality could fundamentally change everything we think we know about being human.
Yeah, because solving the problem of death creates a whole new set of problems. First, you've got the identity crisis. Is a perfect copy of you still you, or is it just a clone with your memories that just thinks it's you? Then there's the boredom problem. Could you really endure eternity without it becoming a torment? And what about the inequality gap? Who gets to live forever? This could create a permanent immortal elite, a new class of digital gods. And finally, what happens to society if nobody ever leaves? The population dilemma would be staggering.
And this leads to a really provocative thought. Would an immortal life, a life without end, even be desirable? Maybe the fact that life is finite is exactly what gives it meaning, and urgency, and beauty.
You see, this isn't just a technical challenge. What we're left with is one of the biggest, most profound questions for the future of humanity itself. Which brings us right back to you. After everything we've explored, the incredible promise, the terrifying perils, the deep, deep uncertainty, if you were offered the chance tomorrow, would you upload your mind? The choice and the future could be yours.